Hey pastors, it's Richard Chancey with 24 to Double, where we are on a mission to help you put the systems and teams in place to double your church in just 24 months. In fact, we've made one of our trainings available for you called the 6 Unbreakable Laws of Church Growth. You can find that in the link in the description, or you can go to unbreakablechurch.com and check that out on demand. So today I got a question for you, Pastor. What did you expect? Or what do you expect? So let me set this up for you, Pastor. My dad over the last few years has been really sick. In fact, a few weeks ago, he had his voice box removed. He's had a few other things happen, but that's a pretty major thing. Right now, my dad cannot speak. So you can imagine it's been a tough season for us. Many of you who are in our 24 to Double tribe have been praying for my dad, and let me just tell you, it's working. And I wanted to tell you a story about that today. Because my dad has been pretty sick and my mom's doing a lot to take care of him, they've got into this zone where they're selling a lot of stuff. And one of the things they were selling was this pull-behind hauler, where you can haul a car behind you, if you're going to pick up a car. So a guy calls and wants to come pick it up and take a look at it. And on the phone, my brother was talking to him and he said, "Man, I thought the guy was drunk." My brother and I both live in different cities, so we couldn't go and meet him there. So he calls my mom and says, "Hey, just be really careful because this guy sounds like he might be a little bit off." Well, he gets there, and it turns out that the guy is not drunk, but he has actually had the same surgery that my dad has had. And he had it a couple of years ago, except this gentleman actually had part of his jaw removed with it and 35% of his tongue. And my mom got to talking to him. He's looking at the hauler, and she starts telling him about my dad. And he says, "Hey, would you mind if I went in and just talked to your husband for a few minutes?" And my mom said, "Sure." He goes, "Well, go in and ask him first, because having been through this, I know how it is if people pop in on you." So the guy goes in, sits down, starts having a conversation with my dad. Now, keep in mind, my dad cannot talk. He can write things down. He can mouth words, but very hard to communicate. This guy sits down with him, Pastor, and start saying, "Have you experienced this? What about that? Let me just tell you, there's life after this." And then he asked my dad, and he says, "Do you mind if I ask how old you are?" And my dad says, "Well, I'm 78 years old." And he said, "Oh, what a beautiful life you've had." And Pastor, I did not expect that. We were not expecting God to show up in that way. And that brings me to the question, Pastor. Are you expecting God to show up in that way, in another way, or has your expector expired? I love asking the question, what are you trusting God for? But really, it's more than that, Pastor. What are you expecting God to do in your life? What are you expecting to do in your ministry? What are you expecting to do in your marriage and in your relationships with your kids? I've got a page full of notes here. Today, this message was therapeutic for me. I was excited to talk to you about this, but as I worked through it, God just laid one thing on me after another. Are you expecting those great things that I have in store for you? Are you expecting those to start today? Are you looking for them? Because sometimes I think while the movement of God is happening, we totally miss it. And we can look back on it and say, "Oh, I definitely see God's hand at work in my life, in my business, in my ministry." But are we expecting it? Are we experiencing the full weight of what God's doing in our lives right now? And this is what I would just tell you. Down here at the bottom, I have expect it, Pastor. Seek it, and you will find it. Expect that God's going to move. I even put in here, I'm praying for a hurricane move of the Holy Spirit in your life and in your church. Pastor, we here at 24 to Double, we're not just in the business of helping churches grow and pastoring pastors. We are actually out here pulling for you. That's why we create trainings like the one that we have at unbreakablechurch.com. Thanks, Derek, for the comment. But go to unbreakablechurch.com. Here's the thing. We're going to talk a little bit about what we do in there. Most of it is training from Pastor Lawson, who has grown his church from 60 people to more than 3,500. But the numbers don't matter. Here's what you need to know about Jerry Lawson. Wherever you are, chances are he's been there. Whatever you're feeling right now, chances are he's felt it, and God moved through him even when he was feeling like God was absent, Pastor. So go check out that training. Let's see what else I got. Oh, I put it at the end of my notes here. God's bus, it's always on time, Pastor. When you think he's not coming or he's not going to show up, the bus is coming, brother, sister. The bus is coming. He won't be late. He's going to show up exactly when he needs to. Let me just tell you this. I want to end with this by saying, Pastor, we are praying for you. If you're still in this, if you're still fighting this battle, it's because God is not done yet. Okay? If we can do anything to serve you, we would love to. Go ahead and sign up for that. You can click the button or join us at unbreakablechurch.com. I don't know if I said this earlier, but this training is actually on demand. Pastor, you can watch it right now. Okay? Let us know how we can serve you, and I will catch you on the live stream on mañana.